Chapter 8, Create Community, Digging Your Internet Trench. A lot of people get wrapped up in designing their blogs and writing or taping their content, but creating your content is the easy part. Of course, your product should be as good as it can be, but it should also be the least time-consuming element of your whole endeavor. What you do after you tape your show or write your blog is the whole game. Creating community, that's where the bulk of your hustle is going to go, and that's where your bulk success will come from. I'm going to veer off the script. This is the part of the audiobook that you need to pay attention. So kick the kids out of the room, pull over for the fourth time, depending on how you're listening to this, pour yourself a nice glass of wine or an awesome bottle of root beer, because we're about to get into the real differentiator, the real piece that really separates the men from the boys. And I really hope you grasp this part, because this is the part most people don't want to do. This is the part that most people don't like, but this is by far the part that wins the game. Creating community is all about starting conversations. When you move into a new house, you meet your neighbors by going out in the evenings and shaking hands with people walking their dogs or taking their runs, complimenting people on their gardens, introducing your kids if you notice the family playing in the yard has children at the same age. If you're going to a conference, you meet your fellow attendees by introducing yourself and shaking hands with everyone else who's milling around. You trade anecdotes and information, hand out your business card. Creating community online works exactly the same way. To create an audience for your personal brand, you're going to have to get out there, shake hands, and join every single conversation already in play around your topic. Every single one. Jared Montz is a retired professional soccer player who relies heavily on just about every platform we've discussed in this book to build his brand, America's first online soccer academy, jmsoccer10.com. Though he barely understood Facebook and didn't have a Twitter account when he started, he now considers them his biggest assets, using them to build a community of soccer fans and friends, draw traffic to his site, and alert followers whenever he posts a new blog, video, or podcast. That's right, he uses all three. He says, I go to bed at 3 a.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. and spend hours commenting and talking with other people about soccer. Not selling them my stuff, but talking about soccer. They will find out what I do on their own without me spamming them. His equipment, a laptop, his fiance's 6-year-old camera, a tripod, and his iPhone. Is he crushing it? In his own words, I'm having a blast. It's fun to meet people and players no matter what, but business-wise, the potential is just scary. It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but if you love it, then it's all worth it. Every subject, no matter how small, has an internet trench. You need to find it. Googling is a great way to start. Every night after taping an episode of my show, I'd spend the next 8 or 9 hours on the internet wine trenches, digging up as much information as possible about who was talking about wine and wine-related subjects and products, what they were saying, where they were going, what they were reading, what they are drinking, what they were buying, and who they were slamming. And then I'd start reaching out. At a certain point, your business will start gaining eyeballs and your community focus will change. Whereas at this point, you're initiating contact with anyone who might have an interest in your passion. Later, you will spend these late night hours responding to people who are responding to you, sending you emails, tweets, Facebook status updates. Building and sustaining community is a never-ending part of doing this business. I would read hundreds of blog posts and leave comments on many of them. I'd spend time on wine forums, read what other people had to say, and then leave comments on those comments. You're going to be doing exactly the same thing. Here's how. First, create your blog post and distribute it through TubeMogul or Ping FM. This way, your content appears up in every social network platform you've established. We talked about that earlier. Next, start paying attention to other people's content. You're going to use the tools we discussed in the last chapter, like Twitter search, to seek out every mention of your topic on the internet. And you're going to comment on every single blog and forum post and tweet you can find. Now, you're not going to say something just for the sake of saying something. You're an expert, right? You love your topic and you've been doing the research. So leave expert, intriguing, thoughtful, provocative, intelligent comments with your name that links back to your blog. Last, you're going to capture. If you're as good as you should be when you're talking about your passion, people are going to be intrigued about what you have to say. Even if they don't follow you immediately, if they see you appear on their site often enough, they may get curious enough to follow you back to your blog, and that's when you've got them. You know how to solidify your fan base. Pay attention to them. I picked up the phone to talk to people when it seemed warranted or appropriate. The chalkboard behind me during my first video blog episodes were for hardcore fans. Whatever appeared there was a message or an inside joke just for them. Little gestures like that, like, hey, I'm seeing you and I appreciate you, is an enormous value. Capture. You just brought someone who's interested in your topic to your blog on the devoted topic. What you do now is exactly the same as I used to do when somebody walked through the store looking for a bottle of wine. I'd send them home with 2 cases. You monetize the heck out of every interaction. In this case, you're not giving people something to drink. You're giving them something to think about and ultimately talk about. If your content is smart and interesting and eye-catching and entertaining, if you're the best, it should be that most people who come to your blog will be happy regular readers, viewers, or listeners. Make it easy for them. We covered the importance of user interface and call to action buttons in chapter 6. Call to action buttons include, this is where you might want to write something down. It gets important here. Subscribe. It allows people to opt in and get an email every time you post a blog. Follow me. It keeps viewers apprised of your tweets and status updates. Join my fan page. Announces to the viewers' newsfeed that they think enough of you to be a fan and helps put your site on other people's radars. Share. Makes it easy for viewers to post a link to Facebook, MySpace, etc. Tweet this. Allows them to scale by putting a tweet out about your stuff. Email this. Allows people to email that post to friends. Your long-term goal is to get sticky and create more and more opportunities to communicate. Your audience joins your fan page. They comment on your blog. They tweet your posts. And slowly but surely, their friends take notice and start doing the same. And their friends take notice. And suddenly, your little community of one episode is a major player in the space. The power of one. How do you know when you've built a community? When one person is listening. Wine Library TV had 5 viewers at first, and I was thrilled to have them. Don't get obsessed with how many friends or fans are following you. The stats are only marginally important. What's important is the intensity of your community's engagement and interaction with you. At this point, the quality of the conversation is much more revealing than the number of people having it. If your content is making people talk enough so they start to make some noise, I guarantee you're going to see more people show up to your party. As long as you're seeing your audience grow, even modestly, over the first 4 to 5 months, you're doing what you're supposed to be. The day you see that one person is reading or watching or listening to you is the day to celebrate. It's an amazing thing to know someone gives a crap about what you've got going on in your mind, in your world, in your life. Don't take people for granted. The power of this new word of mouth game that we're in is that one interested person has unbelievable reach. Believe me, one day you'll miss your very small, intimate community where you could carry a substantial conversation and get to know people really well. I know I do, but I still get in there daily, and I still try. But I do want to give a huge shout out to the original Vayniacs like Kahuna and Tim F, Italian Stallion, Tampa Steve, NY Pete, Barbados, and on and on and on. You guys really mean a lot to me, and I thank you so much. Next steps. Now that you have a community, you've got some place to put a killer marketing strategy into play. The one I use is the best in the world and has never failed me and is the next chapter.